Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be learning about how to create datasets using PyTorch. This is really important because imagine right now we're actually just going to build one for a question and an answer dataset, which could be used for like training transformers. Basically, like you input something like which language is usually spoken in Brazil into like ChatGPT, and then it would output like Portuguese, right? So it's used to train, large language models like these, which you input a prompt and it gives you the answer. And so this is really important because I want to load in the data as, pairs. So make sure that everything's aligned with one another. So let's get to coding this. All right. Import pandas as PD. We're going to import OS from pathlib, import path. And then we're going to, from torch.utils.data, we're going to import the data set. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make our data frame. df is equal to pd.read CSV, and we're going to pass this in. Okay. I did that. But now, this read CSV, what it does is it basically converts our data, right? You can see our things here. It loads it in from our CSV file. And what we're going to do next is we're going to create a class. So class text dataset. We have the dataset right here. And these datasets require three things, all right? So after we initialize everything, right, define in it, it's going to take in, well, the data frame. And we're going to say self.df is equal to df. It's going to require three things. So obviously you need to initialize it. You also need you're also required to actually state the length of this data set. So whenever you're creating a PyTorch torch.utils data set, you have to initialize with your data, right, as the input. You have to determine the length of this data set. So I'm just going to return the length of self.df, right? Because our data frame, we can take the length of this and it gives out the length of our data. And finally, the most important one is this getItem method, which tells the data set, well, how do we pair up these items? How do we pair up the question and an answer given in index? So at index 0, I want the question and this answer that lines up with it. So what I can do is imagine if I put df0, or sorry, df.iloc 0, right? What is the capital of France? And then the answer is Paris. Now, at this specific index, at the first index, or the 0th index in Python, right? If I want the question, I'll just put a question here, and it gives me the question. And likewise, on the same index, if I put answer right here, it gives me the answer. So given any index, what we're going to do is we're going to say that our question is equal to self.df.iloc. It's going to be at that index, and this is going to represent our question. And our answer is going to be self.df.iloc, and it's going to be at the same index, but this time this is going to represent our answer. So now we are going to return the question and the answer. And so now if I create my text dataset, so if I say dataset is equal to text dataset, and I put it in my data frame, right? Now if I want to get the length of this dataset, oh, 90. And if I want to get the dataset, so basically if I want to get a question and an answer, right? Well then, now it's paired up. So now everything is paired up in this data set. So no matter what index I pick, as long as it's in that specific range, it's always going to be in nice pairs, which you can load into a data loader, and then you can start training the model. Okay, I'm back, guys, and I just got another data set. So this is our data set now. We have an image captioning data set where we basically have, it shows it here. We have an image and we have a caption. But the problem is that this image path right over here, it doesn't really work. And let me show you what I mean. So if I do df.iloc and I get this thing, I get the image, you can see that it's simply just a string. But I want it to output the actual image and then the caption associated with that. So I want things in pairs. Now I imported from PLL import image. And notice how when I do image.open for this, it doesn't find the file. All right. And so this is where pathlib and OS module comes into play. It's basically when you have these paths, which represent basically the path to the image, but this path is incomplete. Because what we actually have to do is we have to join, because these images are part of the images folder, we basically have to join the path of the folder with the path of the image. So the path of the image folder to the path of the actual image themselves. So I'm going to say image path is equal to, and then it's the thing that I copied. And you can surround this with a path. So if I print out image path, you get this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want to join these two paths together. So I'm going to do image path, and then this slash sign, and then this string that I have here. And so now I have this fully connected path. You see, this is going to be Kaggle/image that's capturing datasets, and then there's this extra slash, and then you have the image path. So now that this image path is connected with the image folder path, this path is now complete. All right. So like, if that sounds confusing, the main point I want y'all to take away is that this path right over here is path to the image, and it's incomplete. You have to join it with the path of the folder that it's actually in so that it's complete. Now, if I do this image.open method on this, image.open from the pillow library, well, now we have the actual image. And so let's code out the data set. So I can say class image text data set. And first, remember, we're going to define our things. So it's going to take in the data frame. It is going to take in the image folder, or the image path, sorry. I'm going to do self.df is equal to df, self.image path is equal to image path. Remember, we have to have a length method. For this one, it's pretty easy, right? We just return the length of the data frame. And that represents the length of the entire data set, right? If I take out the length of the data frame, it's just going to give us that many rows. And finally, the most important part, how do we pair up an image and essentially its caption? So I'm going to say my image is equal to self.dataframe.ilock, and I'm going to zoom in on that specific index. I'm going to zoom in on that image. However, remember that this only gives us, right? If I just do df.ilock of this only gives us a string. So I have to join this with the image path. So I'm going to do self.image path joined with the string. Meanwhile, for our caption, I can do self.df.ilock and but this time I want the caption instead. So it's going to be at this specific index, right? So for example, I want df.ilock at, let's see, the first one, and then I want the actual caption itself. And so now we can return image.open, my image, and we can return the caption. So notice how now it's paired up. So if I do image text dataset, I'll just do ds is equal to image text dataset. It's going to take in the data frame and the image path. And let's do first the length of the data frame or dataset. I'm going to get this, which matches up with what we have up here. And if I get the first item of this, you get the image, and then you get the caption. So if I actually, this is in a tuple, by the way. So if I actually want to get the image, I can do, this is the first item, and we are getting the image of this. So get the image. And then if I wanted to get the caption, then I would do, we're still looking at this first kind of thing in our data set, our first item in the data set, but now we want the caption. So we put a 1 here, and then we get the caption.